Okay, very good morning, everybody, and welcome to the press conference for the BMW I Berlin E-Prix, presented by CBMM Niobium. We're joined by Allan McNish, team principal of Audi Sport App Schaeffler, Roger Griffiths, team principal of BMW I Andretti Motorsport, and Ullrich Fritz, team principal of HWA Racelab. Allan, we'll start with you. Welcome to Berlin. Another home race for Audi, but you've got some company this time around. Is this a view of the future to come in Formula E?
I think Formula E this year is obviously quite different to last year in a lot of ways. The regulations, the new cars, the way the qualifying groups have gone. And it is super competitive, as we've already seen many times. Certainly coming back for us here, it's a home race, as you said, and it was a fantastic race for us last year. We were the first team ever to get maximum points in a weekend. And I've got to say the celebrations we had on the Saturday night were superb, especially for Daniele, who celebrated, I think, all night until I saw him in the morning at 4 o'clock when he was coming back with, well, a happy face and a kebab in hand. So it was a good one for him. But this year it's going to be a tough one. We're in a better position in the championship points than we were last year, something that I was surprised when I looked at. We're actually 30 points closer in the teams than we were in Season 4. And we're significantly close on the driver's title. So there's a lot to play for, but I think it's going to be a tough weekend for everybody.
Daniele, as you say, won here convincingly last year. How would you rate him and Lucas's performances this season?
I think it's, like I said, I think it's been a different season. And it has been the way the qualifying groups have worked out. And also, I would have said the average level has gone up of the grid. You know, and I would probably look across to Roger in this, it was a difficult season for Andretti last year, but they've rebounded superbly well. And also with newcomers like HWA coming in and some of the qualifying performances and race performances, I think we've seen quite a different dynamic. But clearly we've got two drivers that have been with the team for 5 years. They know Formula E. They know that the championship isn't won in the first race, but it's actually in the last race. And that's, I think, puts us in the position, like I said, in the team's title, where we're a lot closer than we were. But I do think it is going to be a bit of a street fight between now and the end of the season, though. And this is where you'll see the test of the drivers coming through.
We also have the FIA Girls on Track and Dare to Be Different group with us in Berlin. How important for you is it to show the accessibilities and opportunities available to young girls today?
Well, I remember back, and I'm a big supporter of this, actually, because if I look back when I started karting in Scotland, there were two girls. There was Evelyn McRitchie, and there was also Vicky Starkey. And Vicky was from Dumfries, where I'm from, where David Coulthard's from as well. And basically, that was the only two girls that were competing, and also in the north of England as well. There was two girls. And now there's significantly more, and it's just a numbers game. But the more that come into the sport, the more we've got a chance of them coming through to the higher levels. And we saw that as well with the tests, not only in Riyadh, but also in Marrakesh as well. And I think that this is the start of the momentum. And what you need in a career, and it was the same for me as a driver, it's the same for any team, they need something to start that momentum going. And I would say that the momentum is now building, and I think this is something very positive for me for the future.
Thank you. Best of luck for the weekend. We'll move on to you, Roger. BMW's first home race as a manufacturer. Have you been pleased with your first season to date?
Yeah, I mean, as Allan mentioned, last year was quite challenging for Andretti. And, the way the season started for us, I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better introduction to the new partnership with BMW and the new car with the win in Saudi. We all know the story of Marrakesh. And it's been a bit of a up and down seasons for us so far. I mean, we've still in contention with Antonio in the Drivers' Championship. We're not where we want to be with the Team's Championship, but, had we been in this position last year, we'd be pretty pleased. So I think what happens is when you have success, it just resets your expectations of what you're trying to achieve. And, we're here with BMW. It's the title sponsor of the race this weekend. Board members are coming. There's some pressure on the team, but, we've seen that we actually thrive in this high-pressure environment. So we're looking for a good result, and we're looking to push Antonio towards that driver's title. As Allan said, I mean, it's with the way the qualifying format that works out, sometimes being in Group 1 every time is not always in your favour. But it's New York that matters. It's being in the hunt at the end of the season. Anything can happen. I think there's going to be probably 3 or 4, maybe even 5 drivers going into New York that have a real shot at winning the title, and we just got to make sure we're part of that group and keep pushing forward.
As you say, with Antonio 4th in the championship, Alex in 16th, but he seems to be running at the front but doesn't pick up the points and gets involved in scrapes. Is that just a luck kind of thing, or is that something you think he can address?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I'm a great believer in that you make your own luck. Sometimes you put yourself in a position that perhaps you could have avoided. But, and if you fall back into, we call it the carbon zone sometimes, you fall back into that mid-pack. The battles on the racetrack, which not often are picked up on the television, are actually quite fierce. And everybody's trying to work their way forward. Everybody's looking for a good result, looking to get in the top 10, to get in the points. And, sometimes it works out for you and sometimes it doesn't. He's been the victim of some on-track incidents. He's been the victim of some penalties. So, that's made his season quite challenging. But he's a resilient character and he's fighting forward and, his head's held high. So, we come to every event with an expectation of doing well. So we expect him to do well this weekend.
Cool. Best of luck. And Ullrich, turning to you, good morning. HWA's first home race, and I guess there's it must be an important weekend for you.
Yeah, basically it's all new. I mean, it's the first time we are here. We are a new team, and of course it's a home race. So yeah, it's an important weekend. However, I think the goals haven't really changed since the beginning of the season. We entered this championship, and we are still humble and respect what other guys learned over the last 4 years. And entering season 5, that means in the end that other guys have an advantage of like 4 years. And you cannot expect to be here and be directly over competitive. So our main goal is really to learn as much as we can and take that forward for the next year. And that is the most important thing. So finishing the race, maybe having a solid qualifying result, that would be important for us.
And so on that front, you say that all the other teams have a big advantage in terms of their knowledge, but you're ahead of 2 of those teams in the championship standings who've been in since the start. So that must be a reasonably successful measure.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, we are still racers, and you cannot happy if you are third last on the championship standings. So, but on the other hand, you have to be respectful and you have to be humble on what you have achieved. And we have two new drivers. We have a completely new team. We all learn from race to race, and therefore, yeah, of course, you always want more. You always want to win races. You want to finish on the podium, but you also need to take it if it's not possible, and then take everything out of the race and of the race weekends what you can get, and that is technical and operational learning for us at the moment.
Thank you very much. Let's open it up now.